Hello and welcome to the Ridiculously Good VA Show with Tracy Daviero. If you are a virtual assistant or want to be one, this is the place to learn the tips and tricks you need to become a ridiculously good VA. I've been a part of the VA industry since 1998, and I'm excited to get to know you and help you build an amazing business. Let's go.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the podcast that teaches you how to become a ridiculously good virtual assistant. Today, we're talking about self promotion and how it confuses and frustrates a lot of new VAs. Today's quote is from Bob Berg. Your true value is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. And this quote says exactly what I want it to say, but it probably sounds funny as a quote for marketing your business because, of course, we want to take in more payment than what we do. But as we get into today's episode, I think you'll understand why I chose it. So let's go. What is self promotion? Basically, it's showcasing yourself and your business to an audience of people in a group somewhere, right? Or at least for the purposes of this particular presentation, that's what I'm referring to. Self promotion in Facebook groups or LinkedIn, wherever you're doing your networking, wherever the group is built or owned by someone else, self promotion is often listed as a rule that's not to be broken without facing consequences. So you break the rule, maybe you get moderated, maybe you get kicked out of the group, maybe you just get your post deleted, whatever it is. But there's a consequence to doing something incorrectly. And so that's why it's really frowned upon when you show up and start telling everybody about what you do. But all we tell you in marketing is to tell people what you do. It's what we talk about all the time. Tell everybody what you do. Tell everybody. And so it is confusing. I know it because I remember it being really confusing for me. I broke the rule in lots of groups. I tell you guys all the time that everything I teach you is the stuff that I have done, the stuff that I know about. And usually I know about it because I've done it wrong. And so I truly didn't mean to when I was starting out. And if you're doing any of the things that I'm going to talk about in today's episode, then you're probably not doing them on purpose. I really truly didn't understand how to do it better. And so that's what I want to try to teach you today is when you realize how to do it better, that's when it becomes clear what you were doing wrong before. And I'm not even sure I could really articulate what I did wrong before, except that I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, okay, now I understand that was not the right thing to do. And I think you'll come to that same conclusion as well. So the rules are there for everybody in the group. And if everybody posted about their business every day, the group owner would see people leaving their groups in droves and to no fault of their own, right? It's the people that are in the community. The communities are built to be just that, communities. And so just like everywhere else you network, you need to wander around and meet people. You need to wander around and talk to people. And so what you want to do is treat every networking or business group that you're in like a room full of people. It's really not that challenging. That is what it is. Think of it, a Facebook group, as a Zoom room, even. And so you're entering a room, even though it's a Facebook group, maybe you're on it all day, maybe you're getting notifications from it. It doesn't feel that way. But I want you to start visualizing each of the places that you're doing your networking as a group, as a room, like a real room of people, or a Zoom room. And every time you walk into that room, there's different people there. Some of them are new, some of them are the same. Some of them have been there forever. Some lurk. Some, are having difficulty, and some of them are having a lot of success. Everybody's doing something different, and many times people are using groups for different reasons. They're not all there to hire you. And so I want you to really be clear that when you walk into a room at a networking event or some kind of live event, we're acutely aware not everybody in that room is there to see us and to meet us. But for some reason in the Facebook groups, and I think I'll stick with Facebook groups instead of just naming all the social media channels, um, when we walk into a Facebook group or when we get into a Facebook group, we need to think of it in exactly the same way, that there are a lot of people there for different reasons. You have to build relationships with people. And the way to do that is not to hit them over the head with, hi, I'm a VA. I have one spot open next week for a new client. DM me quickly to claim it. Hi, I'm a VA and I wrote this blog post about staying organized. Go off of this wonderful Facebook group to my website and go and read it. Hi, I'm a VA and I'm hiring, and hiring a VA for your business is so smart because you'll save time and money. All of those things are things that we say every single day in our marketing, but to jump into a group, whether you're new to the group or not, and just lead off with that is a turnoff for everybody in the group. Mostly. There are going to be some people who are, oh my gosh, you're a VA, I want to talk to you. But it doesn't mean that that is the way that we treat the group or the way that we conduct ourselves because of that one unusual person. And it annoys the group host because they own the group. They've built the group. It's their audience, right? And everybody who comes into the space, they want to help their audience. They want the people who are in the group to help each other and to be there. And they want to be able to help them themselves, usually. And so it's not about selling to them. And building a group, a good group especially, takes considerable effort, time, and expense. And so you have to realize that think of the group host or the group owner as the host of the party. You're attending a party that they have put together and you are a guest there. And even though it's supposed to be built as a great place, for you to be able to do business, you need to respect the people who are in it and make sure that you're treating it in the same way as, like I say, I think it's a great analogy to use it as a networking event, a live networking event that somebody is paying for and you are allowed to show up. Don't ever forget that. Just because you're in a free group doesn't mean it's a free for all. And you don't have the right to get mad if somebody tells you that you're breaking their self promotion rules, even if you're not doing it on purpose or if you really don't see the difference between what you're saying and what the group owner allows. You just don't get to get annoyed. What I would do if you are struggling with it, and I'm very open to this as a matter of fact, is take what you've posted. If you really don't believe that something was self promotional, take what you posted and show it to somebody and ask them for their input. Ask somebody like me, how could I change this? Or what did I do wrong? Because it's the quickest way to changing the way that you're posting inside groups. Okay? Groups, even local networking ones, belong to somebody. There is an owner and they're using it for a specific purpose. They get to make whatever rules they want. You agree to the rules when you join the group, of course, and they decide what happens when someone breaks them. Like I said, maybe you just get the post taken down, maybe you get moderated all of a sudden, or maybe you actually get kicked out if you do it more than once. So if you're not sure why something is not sort of going the way it's supposed to with yours, ask someone to help you figure it out. And I'll give you a few tips, of course, today, but just make sure that you are really looking at what it is that you're putting out there and making sure that you understand what is acceptable and what is not. So, what can we do to promote ourselves in these groups? We join these groups because we want to grow our business. Absolutely. And there is a way to do it. But first of all, if you're going to spend any time in any group, make sure that your audience is there. Your audience, not just a bunch of people. Don't just join a big group thinking that my people must be in here. You may have to join the group, check it out, and then make that decision, and that's okay. But anything you spend time at needs to be a good use of your time. We can spend hours and hours and hours in 25 groups all the time, and it's not going to work for us. And so we want to make sure that whatever we're doing is a good use of our time. Second, provide value every single time you post or comment. I'll give you a few examples later on, but think about helping people, not selling to them. Trust me, the sale is going to come when you master the helping part first. So just get into a group, have conversations with people, and start to help them. And I'll give you a few examples on how to do that in a minute. Do not post calls to action. Don't take people away from the group for any reason, unless you're sharing a good resource like a Forbes.com, article or something like that. Not to say that you can never do it. These are sort of tips that you want to make sure you're not doing on a regular basis. And I'll tell you in a little bit about when you can do them. But in general, don't put a call to action, a clickable thing on every single post. You want to make sure that you are keeping people inside the group for the host, but also because the longer you can keep the conversation going in the comments in the group in front of all of the rest of the people in the group. First of all, Facebook drops those right at the top, right? It's newest activity, I think they call it, on a post. And so your post will constantly, or the post that you're commenting on will constantly get bumped in front of the other members of the group because there's new activity on it. And so the longer you keep the conversation going, the more people will notice it and see you, of course, but see the actual conversation. And the showcasing of yourself in front of potential thousands of people or however many people are in that group It's not just going to be to that one person who actually could just be looking for some free advice. You never know. The person that you're conversing with does not necessarily need to be the person who's going to eventually be your client. And we don't want to think about it that way. We just want to think that if I put a lot of effort into this group to help people and I show up every day, they will know, like, and trust me. They'll recognize my name. They'll see what I'm writing and talking about, and they'll understand that I know what I'm doing. And then the conversation will come. It's very, very important to do that and to really focus on that. Instead of posting calls to action, post informational stuff. So if you did learn something new in an article by Wall Street or whatever it is, Forbes, I think I said. Um, put the details of that. Did anybody did anybody check out the article in Forbes, or I saw it come up in my feed? It was about this. Write down some interesting things about it and share it that way. But don't put the link to the Forbes article. You don't need to do that. You can tell people what you thought was interesting about it and how it relates to their business, or particularly if it's an industry group, then you can actually ask people about specific things. But in general, you want to post the informational stuff, things that you have come across in your own surfing. Hey, does anybody notice this new Facebook feature? Is anybody having trouble with this? Does anybody love it? Has anybody started using it? Like the at everyone tag is a new thing that a lot of people are doing in groups, right? You can ask that question. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Look for the interaction on the posts and make it something relevant to your services that you offer. You don't just want to be going in and posting all those, what color is your toaster, how much coffee or tea. Those are things for your own groups, but in other groups that are owned by other people, you want to make sure that you are respecting that, but also inciting or inviting or beginning conversations with people for sure. You also want to be careful not to step on the group owner's toes. You don't want to be referring or recommending resources that are, their competition or things that they would not recommend. But in general, you want to be conversational. You want to be helping people by providing information that you think would be interesting to them. And that's what part of getting to know you is all about, right? You can ask questions. You can ask, do you have a favorite CRM? I've been using Dubsado for about a year and has some great features for coaches. I have a question about how Jane app works. A client is using it and we are wondering if it can do this, XYZ, whatever that thing is. You're looking to invite interaction and conversation about everything that is relevant to your services. And that is the way that you can have conversations about the way you help your clients, right? You can even look to connect. Hey, I'm heading out west next week. I am. Anyone in this group from there? What should I make sure to see? Or even better, my client is traveling out west next week. Where should I make their dinner reservation? There are lots of ways to show people what you do just by using questions like that, by formulating questions like that. If you have good news, you can announce it and tell people how you achieved it. Not to say, I'm speaking at a summit, here's the link to go check it out. Again, you don't want to take people away from the group because it's the group owner's group. And again, this is sort of an overview, right? I mean, sometimes, yes, you're going to post a link, but what I'm trying to say is these are good practices. So announce it to people, but tell them how you achieved it. That's the interesting piece of information. And it shares something about you, it shares something about what you do, and it shares something that is interesting for them. Here's the example. I got invited to speak at the symposium. I'm very excited. The woman in charge said she got my name from an event I spoke at a long time ago when they couldn't do the event because of COVID. And she hung on to my name all this time and said that when she knew that the year that they were going to host this symposium again, she was definitely calling me. And this is their first time in 3 years. So she called me and I got this speaking gig. Very cool thing to share in a group, especially a group that is, a business group for yourself. That is exactly what happened to me. I'm speaking at the PEI Women's Business Symposium in November. That's my story, right? And bragging is not the same thing as self-promotion. That's a cool story, right? This is the lady who did this. If you want me to hook you up with her, if you're located in the PEI area, I would love to connect you with her because maybe you can speak next year. Those are the kinds of things that we want to see you posting in the groups that you're networking in. Okay, does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. get noticed, be present, and actually have conversations with people. Cheer them on too. You don't just need to be posting for yourself and what you've been doing. Look for those conversations. Comment on their posts and the host posts too. Participate in the group. You will get noticed and you will be appreciated. And this is why we tell you to focus on just one group at a time. It's just more genuine. You actually become a part of the community. Like I say, participate in the group, become a part of the community, become known by the people in it, and get to know the people in the group as well. It's actually really, really satisfying and fun when you start to get to know people. Don't just post a link to your newest blog post every week. Again, what if everybody did that in the group, right? It's not your group. That's just not something that you do. And just while I'm on it, don't cross post either. When you are in certain groups with your target market, often the same people belong to the same other groups, right? If they're all connected in some way, or if they have a theme. And so when you post the same thing in all of your groups, people are very aware that you're not doing anything that's not a thing that you're doing to build a relationship. You're just using the groups for yourself. It's the same as using an affiliate link in a group. There's often a secondary rule about that. They don't want you doing that because it's very self-serving. If it's your own group, you can do it. If you have permission from somebody, then you can do it because affiliate generally means a commission, right? But sometimes that's just the reason that we help other people out. And you can take advantage of promo schedules too. If there is an opportunity to post something about your group, maybe it's a particular day of the week or, a special post, something like that that the group owner is putting out there, that's fantastic, but don't just plop in your website. Make that creative too. Do it thoughtfully. Tell a client story, how you helped somebody with something, or post a testimonial. You should be collecting those anyway. That kind of thing. Post something that is interesting that will be more memorable than just your website whenever you are posting on the promo schedule. Just get comfortable talking about how good you are at what you do. I think that we don't like to promote ourselves, and so we have a real problem with the language around it because we feel like we're boasting or bragging. And like I said, bragging is not the same thing as self promotion. If you know that you did something good for a client and you helped them out, then you want to be able to talk about that. People need to hear that. That is the best kind of, what do they call it? Social proof. And that is one of the ways that people make decisions about whether they're going to notice you, to hire you, and to work with you. Talk about who you helped this week. Talk about a resource you came upon that was really helpful for somebody or for yourself. Things that you didn't know. Talk about those and share things that are actually valuable to the other members of the community. I belong to a local group, a local networking group online. Well, it's online and in person, I guess we call it. Yeah, gee, I forget what that's called anymore. We don't do it anymore. And there are over 24,000 women in this group. And do you know that there are only 3 virtual assistants who get recommended in that group all the time? 3. And there are lots of VAs in the group, trust me, but they get tons of tags, these 3. When somebody is looking for a VA, why? Because they've been in the group, they focus their attention on that group, and they've taken their time to get to know people. They help them, they work with them, they do great work, they get referrals, they go to the events. They're noticeable. They are helpful. And it's awesome. I love it. I highly recommend all 3 of them. And you know what? None of them have never had to ever had to post in the group, I'm a VA and I have one last opening for a client this month. DM me if you want the spot. Though if they did that, they would be very well received. And everybody would jump in and say, work with her, you won't regret it, because they have worked with so many people. They've helped a lot of people in the group. And so they do all have very, very good reputations. And I'm super proud to know all of them. And I think that is what we strive for, right? It's what we should be striving for anyway. Give more than you take. Oh, there it is. There's the quote for today. Give more than you take. And I know that the quote talked about taking more, giving more than you in value than you take in money. And I think when we look at it from that perspective, am I giving value in this comment? It's not just about jumping in and being the first one to comment on something. It's like, do I really have something to add to this conversation? Because if I do, then let's do that. And doesn't need to drop the word VA, VA, VA all the time, or, that kind of thing. It becomes genuine. The more you do it, and the more you stop trying to get the client and make the sale, you'll get the clients and you'll make the sales. Like, it's just funny the way it works. And so, like I say, if you are struggling to figure out what you're doing wrong, Totally reach out to somebody who you know does it well. Reach out to me. I'm happy to look at what you have and help you tweak it so that it doesn't come off so self-serving, because that's the thing that people just don't like. Okay. Show up first to help. Always be, not to be the first one, but make that your first intention. Show up first to help and do it daily. People will start to see you, trust you, and others will recommend you and they will hire you. Just focus on the give, give, give. That's what the people see. Okay. So choose a Facebook group of business owners that contains your target clients. Don't ask me which groups to join. VAs ask me this all the time. Do you know any great groups to join? Well, there's one with 24,000 people in it that I just told you about that's local to Osgood, that's where I live, Ottawa. But I'm not going to recommend that to you just because it happens to be a great group. It may not be the right group for you. You have to figure that out on your own. Introduce yourself or reintroduce yourself if it's been a while since you joined the group. Okay. Tell people that you're a VA, but don't tell them to hire you. Tell people why you started your business, how much you love helping whatever the target group is with whatever service it is, and tell them how excited you are to be in this group of professionals and how much you're looking forward to getting to know them in this beautiful space. That's what you want to do in an introductory post. Not specials, not I'm giving 5 hours free, not I have a special till the end of the month, not I have one client spot open, DM me before it goes away. It's this is what I do. I'm super happy to be here. I'm really looking forward to growing my business and gleaning all this information from all of you as well. It's about help, 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 and be there to be a part of the community. When somebody posts a question, just answer it. You don't need to put a link to your blog or tell them some long winded story or tell them to PM you to discuss my personal pet peeve. Just answer their question. Move on to the next question that is relevant to your services, of course, and answer that, and so on, and so on, and so on. It really, really is easy to tell people about how you help your clients without self promoting. It takes some practice, but it really does become clear when you start getting interaction on your comments from people who can see the difference and who really do genuinely want to get to know you. And now I'm going to leave you with this for today. There's a blog post from Becca at Uncaged Life that I always come across when I do research for this particular topic, and I decided I want to share a bit of it with you. It's called How Not to Be a Dick in Facebook Groups, and it's an awesome post. I love the tips in it, but I wanted to read you this part of the post because it's so perfect. See how I'm not making you click away? I'm giving you this information. It's called Scenario 2. And she says, Becca, you're in the room with your friends and the attractive people. Let's say one of these attractive people asks something like, do you know where the best pizza in town is? And you reply, I do. Also, do you know that I'm single? Would you like my number? Here it is. As you grab their phone and enter your number into their contacts, and they reply, oh, cool. So anyway, what's the name of the pizza place? And you're all like, call me and I'll tell you. This is pretty much the equivalent to commenting on people's Facebook questions with a link to your website. #desperate. And now you're going to say, yeah, Becca, but these people, they need what I have. Sure, they might need it, but the ways in which you're giving it to them make you look like a desperate drunk girl at the end of the night at the bar. No one is taking that shit home. So in conclusion, be a human, have integrity. Please don't ever do these things in real life or online. Thanks, Becca. I couldn't have said it better myself. If you need some help figuring out what to say in your networking or marketing, reach out to me, Tracy at yourvamentor.com. I've helped hundreds of VAs through their challenges and got them on to the next thing. I'd love to help do the same thing for you. I do private coaching, and my new mastermind, the Virtual Circle registration, is open now. Maybe one of those options is the right one for you. That's all I've got for you this week. Thanks for tuning in to learn how to become a ridiculously good virtual assistant.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Ridiculously Good VA Show. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a thing. For more great resources for your VA business, visit my website at yourvamentor.com. I'll see you back here next time.